think we cannot not acknowledge that children, especially in urban education, they are bringing trauma that we cannot then just put to the wayside when they get into the classroom and just start teaching them. We actually need to bring in that context and use that context so that we can figure out, okay, how do I support this child who clearly doesn't want to be in this classroom, not because they don't want to be in school, but because they're dealing with all the other things happening, outside of the space. So, no, you got to unmute.
But what I was gonna say is, and I think something important for us to think about is the ways in which like they might not want to be in school, and that is informed by the relationship they have to school because of the tropes they've internalized about what they can do at school. And so something we do talk about in the first episode is like what we don't name, we normalize. And I really appreciate Dr. Sarah saying this piece about like it is important to lean into the discomfort and the fear of saying the thing in these spaces often predominantly don't look like us but are running schools with kids that do. It is important for us to say the thing because that thing is what actually changes the conversation. That disruption, them being uncomfortable and having to go educate themselves or having to reflect on their practices is important, right? And I'm very comfortable making people that don't look like me uncomfortable when they're in these spaces responsible for our kids, because at the end of the day, if you're always comfortable, something is wrong, because the world is made around you being comfortable, and you are the majority and you are privileged and you have X amount of power. You actually do need to be uncomfortable. You actually do need to be responsible for your actions and reflect on how you show up as it relates to our Black and brown staff, our Black and brown other leaders, and our Black and brown students that we're serving. Because transparently, like if you're not willing to do that, like there are schools with kids that look like you that you could be at. That's just at least how I feel. And I think that people don't want to hear that either. Like that makes them uncomfortable. And it's like, if you're choosing to do this work with the students you're choosing to do this work with, know that you are accountable to how you show up and what you do. And it requires the labor to inform yourself about all of the biases that you could potentially project onto our students.